Parkway, which is the worst road. Terrible. Terrible.
Fair enough, fair enough, man. No offense taken.
Oh, Mike Corso was the bass player. Kind of lousy, so I think we enjoyed Kevin's. But still, nonetheless, it was like Kevin, yeah. I think so, something like that. I don't think AJ or I like knew as many tunes now though. So young man, super green. Academy. Totally a drag. Yeah, he made the first night he missed a change. You hear about this? We were playing Mean Girl Academy, the tour. Like a washed up, like miserable conductor. Been out on the road with that show for like 3 years and just hated. Next night we came back and Kevin was gone. Like that's like end of the show, you're out. Got a guy from New York. Right, if the fix was in. Yeah. Maybe. Well, you've been doing things here on like Saturdays and stuff longer than I have. Big with AJ. How are you? Pressing. What's the next?
Testing sound. 1, 2. You're hearing it okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Sure, all of that's in there, right? Hey, whatever happened? Were you? Yeah. Okay. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Check, check. Yep. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Welcome to congregants, to friends, to guests, to everyone joining us in the live stream and everyone joining us in person here in the sanctuary. It is so wonderful to gather together to celebrate Shabbat with all of you. We are so thrilled this evening to have with us Cantor Rebecca Garfine. Cantor Garfine, many of you may recognize her. She's been with us before, recently at our Cantor's concert last year, and she is a good friend of Cantor Hyman's, and we're just so honored to have her. We've known her for many years, and Cantor Hyman is serving on faculty right now at 6 Points Creative Arts Camp, one of our movement summer camps. And so while he's there serving our movement and helping to teach our children, we're so thrilled that Cantor Garfine is with us. We also, as always, have our congregational president, Hank Bernstein, here with us in the Bema as well. To ensure that we are praying together as one community tonight, let's take a moment to introduce yourself in the chat, on the live stream, or in person. Find someone new to greet and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. You're welcome to say hello out there or just hang out here. Okay.
Yes.
Done this Saturday morning. Like, I don't care what they say. It's just as bad as communicating. Yeah, but that still takes you. Text on Saturday.
Does she have to slide it up? Or?
Shabbat Shalom. I love all the greeting. We are honored this Shabbat to have Beth Stanley and Robert Wachowski to lead us in our Shabbat blessings, beginning first with candle lighting on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. And we continue with our Kiddush, our blessing over the wine, on page 5.
Go there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho b'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Our sages teach in the Mishnah, Misha Nichnas Av, when the month of Av enters, our joy decreases. Today begins the month of Av, Rosh Chodesh Av, and on the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, we will mourn the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Traditionally, during these first 9 days of Av, we decrease our joy by refraining from meat and wine, considered by our sages to be symbols of joy. And some Jews refrain from other celebrations, things like parties, wearing jewelry or new clothing, and even some refrain from doing laundry during this period, which I could get behind that one. That sounds good to me. As you might have guessed, though, we take a break on Shabbat from this period of semi-mourning. One reason is because we see Shabbat as a taste of the world to come. And while the destruction of the temple represents a certain amount of brokenness, a loss of God's presence from this world, Shabbat reminds us of a time to come in the future when we, partnering in the work of creation, in the work of Tikkun Olam, repair of this world, that we will metaphorically together rebuild that temple and bring God's presence into this world. And so we take a deep breath and release, turning from the brokenness in this world to the hope and vision of a world renewed that Shabbat offers us. We continue with our singing of our Kabbalah Shabbat Psalms, beginning on page 12 with Lechu Neranena.
Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, l'Ariyah, yai lai 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 lai, l'Tzur Yishaynu, yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing unto God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to stream hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, l'Ariyah, lai 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 lai, l'Tzur Yishaynu, yai lai 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 lai. For all of the wonder and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, lai 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 lai, l'Ariyah, yai lai 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 lai, l'Tzur Yishaynu, yai lai 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 lai.
And on page 19, we continue with the bottom two lines, Adonai oz le'amo yitain. May God grant strength to God's people.
Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai varech et amo. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai varech et amo. Adonai
With the joy of a wedding, we continue with Lecha Dodi, pages 20 and 21, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'ribuy echad, yishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'lidila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech u'mi'ori, uri, uri, shidaveri, kavod Adonai alaychem la. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
Please rise as we face the entrance to welcome the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is at all time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. We continue with our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, on page 28. Please rise. Together on the middle of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And in the middle of page 32, together, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vayit.
Please be seated. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On the top of page 39, we read together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
Say li anu vi ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We continue with tefillah on pages 46 and following. Please rise.
That my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu velo avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasei Avot v'imahot, U'mevii geula livnei bneihem, Lema'an shemo b'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid atal, Mechakil hayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidam enach, Melech meimit umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'il HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Conclude our Amidah with blessings for peace. On page 61, we join together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We take moments now for silent prayer.
Oh, say shalom Ibrahima, Uyas shalom aleinu, Al kol Yisrael, V'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, Amen. Oh, say shalom Ibrahima, Uyas shalom aleinu, V'al kol Yisrael, V'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, Amen. Yay, 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 oh, say shalom Ibrahima, Uyas shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, Amen. Oh, say shalom Ibrahima, Uyas shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, Amen. Yay, 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 yay,
Amen. In a moment, we will be on page 253 for the Misha Beirach, our prayer for healing. First, a poem, a prayer written by one of our Philadelphia colleagues, Rabbi Yael Levy, entering the month of Av. As we enter the month of Av, with the brokenness of the world revealed, we can find among the fragments paths of healing, ways to care for the torn heart, the ravaged spirit, ways to mend and renew the sacred, the good, the just. The message that is impossible, that there is nothing we can do, is part of the brokenness, and it keeps us divided and small. Every day we can mend as we practice gratitude and see beauty, as we allow pain and sadness, as we reach out to each other, asking for help, offering hope, as we recognize and honor what is ours to give. Every day we can mend as we return again and again to kindness, patience, and care. Brokenness is at the heart of creation, and so is the potential to heal and to mend. Let us offer our broken and willing hearts for the sake of each other and all life. If you are holding someone in your heart this Shabbat in need of healing, I invite you to write their names in the comments or to speak their names aloud at this time.
Misheberach avotei us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberachim oteinu, mikol bracha leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Our thoughts move now from thoughts of brokenness and healing to thoughts of joy, celebration, and gratitude as we prepare to sing the Shehechianu, a blessing thanking God for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this moment in time. And I know this is a special moment for so many of us. And I hope everyone here can think of at least one good thing this week or coming up in the next week for which you are grateful for. And if you're on the live stream, we hope you'll share in the chat some of those wonderful simchas. And we'd love to hear from you in the sanctuary. If anyone is celebrating anything, please feel free to shout it out and let us know what's going on in your lives for which we can say Shehechianu. Ethel and Jules. Oh, wow, yeah. There we go. Happy birthday, Ethel and Jules. Read.
My first time coming to the synagogue with a daughter-in-law.
A daughter-in-law.
Mazel
Not,
tov.
you've been to the synagogue many times with Rhiannon before, but now it's official. Mazel tov. Married life treating you well? All right, perfect. All right. Others. Do we have others? Oh, well, hold on. Let's go right over here. Who do we have right there? Yeah. Welcome, your first time. It's so wonderful to have you guys with us celebrating Shabbat. And it looks like, AJ, you have your hand up really high. It really looks like you were very excited to tell us something, AJ. Tell us. You are a Jew. You guys converted. And so I would actually like to welcome AJ. I want to get the whole family up here. Fred and Samantha and AJ and Gabe and Cordelia and Jocelyn. If the whole Cook family would please come up to the bima, and I'll invite the congregation to please rise. We are so honored that tonight we are celebrating the conversion, the entrance into Judaism of not one, not two, but 6 people. Is this a record?
Biggest Beit Din ever.
Biggest Beit Din ever, I think. Yes. So come on up here, everyone. You guys can come right up to the bima. And this is really exciting. Many of you, I think, have gotten to know Fred and Sam, who've been involved they took our Introduction to Judaism class, have been involved in Torah study. Sam's very involved in our Women of RS and so much others. And for some of the children here, I see some others from Berkman Merkaz Limud. You've probably gotten to know the 4 children. Come on, actually, if we can all fit right up here, we'd love to have you guys up here. You've probably gotten to know AJ, Gabe, Jocelyn, and Cordelia, who have been in our Hebrew school this whole year and on their own process to conversion, while their parents learned through our adult education. The children all learned in our wonderful religious education. And thank you to Jennifer James for being such a wonderful leader of our Berkman Merkaz Limud. I see you here tonight with them. And so what an honor it is to recognize this conversion now today in front of our community. You all stand here before the open ark and before the commanding presence of the Torah, the Jewish people's most cherished treasure. It's led us on our way and guided us ever since we received it at Mount Sinai. I'm now going to place the Torah into Fred and Sam's arms as they take it into their heart. Got it okay? All right. Okay. Here we go. And Sam? Okay. Beautiful. And you guys, the children, you're all going to get to hold the Torah very soon at your B'nai Mitzvah, which we're going to have quite a few of them coming up in the coming years. And we're so excited. And you guys are going to become adult B'nai Mitzvah with us as well. So, wow, all 6 of you in the coming years.
Also an accomplishment.
What an What an accomplishment, you're Jews. And now I want to officially confer upon you now all your Hebrew names, and what special Hebrew names. And so from this time forth within our community, you shall be known, Fred, as Daniel Shalom, and you, Sam, as Adina Talia, and you, AJ, as Avner, and you, Gabe, yours is pretty easy because Gabriel is just Gabriel. So yours is a pretty easy one. And Jocelyn, you will be known in Hebrew as Nesaraim, and you, Cordelia, as Aliza Reza. May these names bring respect and honor to the Jewish people. We know they will. We rejoice to welcome into our midst those who willingly and devotedly help replenish the ranks of our people. And as we have done throughout the ages, I ask God's blessing upon you now in these ancient words. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be with you always and grant you the most precious gift, the gift of peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Amen. For this amazing moment in time and for all of these simchas in our whole community, we join together in gratitude in our Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Mazel tov to all of you. Please be seated.
Amen. What a simcha to be a part of. Thank you for sharing the joy with us all. I've been watching and enjoying most of what I've seen of the First Ladies show, miniseries, something. And I've been particularly moved by their interpretation of the story of Betty Ford. Many of us know her for fighting stigma around addiction, and I learned through this also what a force she was in fighting stigma around breast cancer and making public her mammogram, and how she used her voice to bring some normalcy to something that felt uncomfortable in her society. Well, I've taken it as a personal challenge. That's quite a disclaimer, huh? To share with you that I recently, from all of my years of schooling and beyond, received the best test score I've ever received when my GI told me that my colonoscopy prep was perfect. And so I drank the stuff. And so I share with you because, as perhaps you've found, if you too have had a colonoscopy, perhaps you have found the whole experience is filled with elements of Jewish wisdom and Jewish values. And I have no doubt that everyone who moves through this finds Torah everywhere, in every moment of the experience, as did I, and I want the chance to share it with you. It won't get too gory. Jewish value number 1. At the start of my day, early morning at Thomas Jefferson Hospital, I'm in the GI ward with the sort of stretchers around the perimeter and the nurse station at the middle with a good view of what's going on. And wow, do they work hard and almost make it look easy. They are a magnificent team of caregivers. And as all of them are coming in and out, it's very early in the morning. There must have been a lot of caffeine involved, lots of energy, lots being accomplished. And at the center, there's a nurse who is clearly the person you go to when you have a problem that needs solving, because she's solving everyone's problems, she's fixing this, she's answering questions, she's there for the patients, she's there for the other nurses as well. And as I'm watching this master, there's a man who comes in based on his dress, probably he's a surgeon, comes in and says to her, "Don't you look pretty?" And I thought, there are some people who like to hear that at work, perhaps. You might know I'm not one of them. And I thought, it was for me a very clear demonstration as to why I wouldn't want to hear that. Because to me, that's a devaluing comment based on all that this person brings, her mind, her ideas, her contributions, her hard work. To me, at work, that's not to be the focus. And I think that I'm particularly sensitive about that because I live in a society where women's ideas, women's status has not always been equal, and I come from a tradition in which women's status, women's voice, women's agency has not always been equal. And even in that tradition that actually expands beyond the Torah, later generations expand to a range of genders. All of those genders not quite at the level of hierarchy where you find the man's status. And so I want to share with you something from our Torah portion this week that for me demonstrates it. This is from Matot. We have a double portion, Matot Maaseh. If a man makes a vow to the Eternal or assumes an obligation on himself, he shall not break his pledge. He must carry out all that has crossed his lips. If a woman makes a vow to the Eternal and assumes an obligation and her husband learns of it and objects, he thereby annuls her vow or the commitment to which she bound herself. Now, this is a long time ago, right? Any tradition as old as ours will have patriarchal roots, will have gender binary roots, but what we learn here is, I hope, a different stage of acknowledging women's agency. And it challenges us, I think, to move forward from that today. And so, when I was in that hospital waiting area and observing the comment that came to this nurse, I thought of this text and others like it, and wondered whether I should say something. Now, you know me, I don't like to make waves. Not true. But what is true is I don't like to make waves when there are people who are about to perform a medical procedure on my body. So I waited. And after the excellent nap provided by the procedure, once I came out of the anesthesia or the twilight, I did say something, because I some time ago decided that I was wasting too much time in these moments of bias to decide whether or not to say something. I should just decide, just always say something. Sometimes I'll get it wrong, sometimes I'll get it right, but I'm wasting too much time deciding. So I did say something, and in that, although I didn't put it this way, in that, I hoped to draw on another part of our tradition, which I believe is a much more fundamental principle which we bring to today, and that is from the story of creation, from Bereshit. We learn that God creates human beings in God's image, B'Tselem Elohim, and in incredible Hebrew that we can look at more closely when the text is in front of us, there is an inclusion of male, of female, perhaps of everything in the range of gender, so that when we look at another human being, we know, whatever their gender, we see in their eyes the image of God. That's what we take into our world. So for me, that was Jewish value number one that emerged from my colonoscopy experience. Jewish value number two, I found that the experience of preparation and then the morning of colonoscopy meant that the calendar needed to be cleared. There were no meetings that could be taken during that time, and I trust my team that I can be away. And so both in the afternoon and evening before and during the actual procedure and just following when I knew I'd be groggy and not up to making good choices necessarily, during that whole time, there's a purity in setting everything aside. There is no multitasking. There is only this one task for which I needed to be present. Maybe it doesn't need to take a medical procedure, right, for us to learn. Sometimes we set things aside, or maybe we just want to learn to be present for just one thing at a time. We have this wisdom weekly because Jewish tradition gives us the gift of Shabbat. In Shabbat, we center ourselves. We challenge ourselves to be present for just where we are. This is it, right here, right now. Because we learn from the creation story. For God made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day, God refreshed, God resouled, vayinafash. The root of the Hebrew of vayinafash is nefesh, soul. God refreshed God's soul, and sometimes so do we. The third Jewish value that came out of my colonoscopy experience is perhaps the most important and the reason really why I raise the whole experience with you this evening. There are some things that are in our hands in this life. Most things are not. Most things are out of our control. But when we find, or when science gives us something to do for preserving our lives or for preserving others' lives, we should take it with gratitude. After my nap was over, I met with the physician, and she told me that we still don't have the number of people coming for colonoscopy that we should. We could be saving more lives. It's an extraordinary procedure. I mean, it feels miraculous. Diagnosis and treatment all in one. Life-saving. This is pikuach nefesh, preserving life. And so, thankful to Katie Couric and others who raised it over the years, we're still not quite there. And so maybe we should talk about it a little more. Maybe instead of saying I had a medical procedure that week, I should have said, I have a colonoscopy coming. Maybe the more we talk about these things, the more we're able to normalize it and help each other expect it of ourselves and our own health practice. We have in our tradition every morning a blessing we say. It's also actually traditionally recited when we depart from the restroom. Judaism does not beat around the bush. It is real. Here's what the blessing says. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. Uvara bo nekavim. Pathways and openings. We don't even take the health of our pathways and openings for granted. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wrongly opened or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Our bodies are not perfect, but they are amazing, and it is upon us to do what we can to take care of them. So I pray, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our prayer books with Aleinu on page 282 and then 287. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל. ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. these words from Chana Senesh. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This week, our congregation observes Yahrzeit for the following people on whose shoulders we stand: Jack Abramson, Eva Adler, Rose Albert, Martin M. Alsher, Joan Toll Angelchick, Gerald Applebaum, Marcus Bergsman, Rose E. Blumar, Leon Bloomberg, Leonard Kaust, Robert Clark, Alice Stanley Coutone, Louis Deaton, Beatrice Biberman DeNava, Josiah Howard Edelson, Renee Elderman, Warren Elias, Josephine Anilo, Florence Erber, Ephraim J. Frankel, Aurelia Lobenberg Frankel, Maurice Freed, Barnett Friedman, Janice Luber Geller, Louis Gersley III, Evelyn Goldberg, Anna Marymore Goldston, Catherine Gottlieb Goodwin, Herman Gorin, Isaac Greenstone, Sadie Koch Grinsfelder, Alan Gross, Lisa Hannon, Albert Leon Henley, Sandra Highland, Lester Israel, Flora Bachrock Jacobs, Leona Kalman, Grace Kaplan, Asher Samuel Katz, Sidney L. Kurtz, Mary Lane, Albert H. Lieberman, Philip Littau, Ida Livingston, Arthur Macedon, Rose E. Mann, Sidney J. Markovitz, Brian Shane Marks, Fanny Mazur, Franklin B. Mayer, Nelson B. Mayer, Eli Mayer, Stanley Nelson Mitnick, Miriam Olson, Rose Paris, Francis V. Pleat, Benjamin Price, Gertrude Pays Richmond, Michael J. Rosenberg, Pamela Rosenblum, Max Rosenbluth, Viola R. Rosenthal, Sarah C. Rudenko, Donald Salkowitz, Cora Rice Salzer, Louis Shapiro, Ida Shog, Evelyn Sidewater, Joseph E. Simon, Evan Smith, Susan Smith, Abby Spiegel, Dora B. Sprackfkin, Rosa Strauss, Joanne Takef Toldano, Oscar B. Teller, Lena S. Tolson, Teresa Vogel, Lena Schusterman Warsaski, Gordon Weinberg, Matthew Wiseman, Harold Weiss, Alvin Weisenberg, Milton Tuck Wolf, Clara Wolf, Rose H. Wolf, Aaron Wolf, Claire Blank Wolkoff. We add the names of those who have been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts, in these most recent days, for whom we observe Shloshim. Elaine Ashen, Melba Axelrod, Frank Binswanger, Jesse Blatt, Peter Dufault, Martin Katz, Samuel Marion Ephron. And if you are observing Yahrzeit or Shloshim for a loved one whose name has not been called, please feel free to call it out now. Together, we honor their memories as, turning to page 294, we rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudasham b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to the bereaved and peace to each of you. And together we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
Once again, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Cantor Garfine for joining us on our team. And if you are new to Road of Shalom, please be sure to say hello to Stephen Scher, our membership manager, who's waving from the back of the sanctuary. Thank you, Stephen, and ready to greet you. We close with these words of the Israeli poet Daniela Spector. All the truly beautiful things are revealed in their own slow, inconsiderate, loving time, beating at the rhythm of the heart.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha, Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha v'choneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha,
May God bless us and keep us.
Ya'ir Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
May the light of God's Spirit shine upon us and be good to us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's presence be with us and bring us peace. Kei nihi ratzon, may this be God's will. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I gotta remember the